Okay, no spoilers. We were talking about Better Call Saul. We can't spoil that for people who haven't seen the ending. So anyway, okay. So welcome back. How's practice been?
Pretty good, pretty good. Actually, last season, I spent a lot of time after, getting off of college
Yeah.
and getting into my summer. Spent a lot of time grinding the game.
Mm-hmm.
I actually hit a new peak of rank 28, I think it was.
Nice.
So
Congrats.
I was really proud of that. Um, but then I got my wisdom teeth out. I had to take about a week off from the game.
Ouch.
That was, I mean, I that was about until I felt like completely normal again.
Right.
I play a little quick play here and there.
Yeah.
But after I came back, I mean, obviously I felt like a little slow and rusty.
Right.
And it was taking me a bit to get back into it. But then I kind of just felt like, even though like I was still like focusing on like some of the things that like you told me to work on and that I discovered that I should work on.
Yeah.
I just felt like so much more slow. And that season, even though it was like my best season, at the end it turned out to be my worst because I dropped all the way down at a top 500 by the end of it. And I just couldn't get my momentum up.
Yeah, I got you. I got you.
The way it was before. So I mean, I have like a couple questions, I guess.
Sure.
That I kind of like picked up upon that.
Sure. I have one question for you before you get started. When you say that you felt a little slow, what do you mean by that?
It's just like it felt like the game was moving at like 300 miles per hour, and I was moving at like 20. Like, there was stuff that was happening on my screen that, I wasn't either like thinking about or prepared for, or ready for, that like I previously, would be, and I'd, be able to react in time. And if it was like a dive, I'd like save myself or get out. But it felt like I was just like lagging behind.
You've lost your edge.
Yeah.
So it's like a lot of things that were maybe automated have kind of gotten rusty, and so you were not able to react in time. Yeah, I mean that's very normal. Okay, so you had some questions.
Yeah. So I guess one of them like kind of ties in what I was saying is like, what should I do if I have like multiple off days in a row and it's not really like every day I go in, I'm like trying to like identify something new to work on, but it just feels like I'm hitting like a wall. Like I can't like.
So you have multiple off days in a row, you said.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so you are dealing with probably the most, I would say one of the most difficult circumstances that you could possibly deal with, which is being ridiculously excellent at the game, then dropping because situation out of your hands, and then having to come to the realization that you're a lot worse than you were before.
Yeah.
And that happens to a lot of people. I mean, even if you're a plat player and you come back and you're playing at like a silver 1 level, that hurts. Like that hurts a lot. So the best thing that you can do is to embrace it as best as you can. You're never going to be able to embrace it fully. Like nobody's the Dalai Lama out here, right? Like you're gonna, it's gonna hurt. Your ego's gonna hurt a little bit, and just prepare for that. And then what I would try to do is, rather than, here's a way of looking at it. Instead of making it just, I need to get back what I had before, because that's definitely the goal. Don't present it to yourself like that. Instead, make it a new challenge. For example, maybe there's some aspect of your play that you want to improve or wanted to improve, or maybe like ult tracking, for example. How much ult tracking have you done in the past?
Not much.
Okay. So that's a new skill, right? A brand new skill. Yeah. Maybe not a brand new skill, because I'm sure it's something that you've done a little bit to an extent, like tracking primal, for example. I'm sure that's something that you do. Yeah. But that could be an aspect. And so what you do is, while you're having to grit your teeth and grind back into the stupid, just don't waste my cooldowns, not trolling with my positioning, that kind of thing, building back that more quality autopilot, why don't you learn a new skill while you're doing that? You kind of see what I'm saying? Why don't you, while you're kind of getting back in the swing of things, focus on a different skill that isn't quite as frustrating. So you're saying like, oh, I have to have multiple off days. When you come back from that off day, try to pick a skill that's not, oh, I know I'm going to suck at this, but I'm going to try and practice it anyway. Try and pick something new to practice as well. It serves as a little bit of a distraction, and it'll be a little bit less demotivating because you will be focusing on ult tracking instead of on how much you're feeding at your positioning, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
It's something to try. I mean, the real solution is just you're just gonna have to bite the bullet and play through it. But at the very least, you can kind of serve yourself little distractions and learn new skills while you're doing that.
Yeah. No, I feel like you're kind of right in saying that. Like there are times when I was like, I know my sleeps are bad. Like I'm whiffing them, I'm throwing them all over the place. I'm like reviewing. I'm like going in. I'm putting like sticky notes on my monitor, and it's just like not clicking. Like no matter what I do, and it's really frustrating.
Well, you have to get back in the swing of things. I don't know what it is about Overwatch, but sometimes it feels like the game can just drop out from underneath you. You take any time off, and it's like. But you have to also understand that you're at the peak of your craft, right? You're at the peak of your craft, where like you're not just like some random silver player. You are top 25. Like you were really, really, really good. So while you're taking a week off, how many more ranked games were those guys playing? And even if they weren't necessarily getting better, but they were just kind of keeping things in homeostasis while you were actively getting worse. And the other thing, and this is actually even more important than that, because you're going to come back and you're going to be a little bit rusty. But the problem with human beings is we snowball. So for you, it's like you probably came back a little bit rusty, but you're probably playing worse than you quote unquote should right now. Because you're frustrated or distracted or tilted. And even if you're not like the type of guy who like tilts easily, like I'm not exactly a tilter, but I do get frustrated easily when I feel like I'm not performing. Like not mad, but like but that's a distraction. That's going to compound the effect and make it worse, right? And whether that's mechanics or making good decisions with your positioning or like you said your sleep darts, you're gonna make things worse. So that's why I wanted to focus on the distraction and trying to embrace the process, because it's less about preventing you from playing badly when you get back. It's about preventing you from playing worse than you should by getting upset at you playing badly. You kind of see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because you're going to play bad, but you're going to make it worse if you don't take preventative action, I think is the key thing there.
Okay. Yeah, I see. All right.
I was coaching my wife the other day because she's like like the mid-high gold Widowmaker one trick, and she's always like I take any time off and I just like I can hear her in the other room. She's like she's missing shots and she's getting mad at herself, and like I've been like, yo, it's okay, just chill. I don't want to hear you talk about how your aim is bad. Your aim is not bad. Your aim is fine. Don't worry about it. Because like as soon as you start to like get irritated, you're just gonna make it worse. Let it go.
Yeah. I mean, I'd say like I definitely I don't know, it's kind of hard to keep track of like when I tilt, because whenever I do, it's like a silent self tilt, and it's hard to kind of like snap myself back into it, especially if like I make like a stupid play or something. I'm like, oh man. But it's like it's in my subconscious, so it's like
that's the thing.
Hard to keep track of.
Well, you and I are the same. We tilt probably very similarly, like where we're not like punching holes, but we're like it's like kind of that it's like tension. It's not even like a tilt. It's like tension. So what I like to do is and you've probably, I don't know if you even talked about this last review, but like take the preventative action, right? Make sure that make sure you're getting enough sleep, make sure that you have goals going to the review, that stuff, but also making sure that you're taking breaks between cues if you can. I mean, especially at your rank, you might as well, you got nothing else better to do, right? So what is it right now? Like 7 or 8 minutes at least, even on peak times?
During I usually try and play in like the afternoons. So weekdays it's usually around like 10-15 minutes.
Yeah.
Weekends are better at like, around like I'd say like 3 to like 5-ish.
Right.
If it's like a good day.
Right, but use that time is my point, right? You kind of see what I'm saying? So you got enough time, even if it's just a minute or two, just to get up and move around and like just kind of put some gas back in the tank. You know what I'm saying? Distract yourself, do something. Don't alt tab, don't deathmatch, don't Twitter, do something completely different away from the computer. That can help. It's more about the preventative action rather than, because like you said, sometimes it's hard to recognize when that tension's there. And by doing that, you'll actually not only prevent the tension from happening, but you will indirectly release some of the tension as it happens.
All right.
Something to try.
Right. Yeah. All
Any other questions?
Let me think if I have anything else. Not that I can think of now. I'll let you know if
Okay.
something comes in my head.
Okay,
later.
we talked about training schedule all last time.
Yeah.
Obviously, you have your goals. You said you were making some progress with your goals up until teeth time.
Yep.
Okay, sounds good. Any particular questions about any of those things that we were working on?
I guess just like with uh with Anna, you said like a little to like rotate. Like I was like playing too statically.
Yes.
Which I feel like is one of the things where like I'm not consistent with it. Like there are days where I'm like moving all over the place and
Yeah.
I'm doing really well with that. And then there's days where I'm just like, no, I feel safe here. I'm gonna sit here and I'm gonna shoot.
Why
and
do you think
like,
that is? There's a very psychological reason of why that happens, and I realized this just yesterday actually when I was playing myself.
Is it because just like I'm not putting enough focus into that
Yes.
specifically?
Yes, to an extent. I think it's just general energy. I've been doing a little experiment behind the scenes of playing 2 games per day and only 2 games per day. That's really all I have time for, but I'm just basically playing 2 ranked games per day. Can I improve at a hero when I only play 2 ranked games a day? It's not like this isn't top 500, but this is like high masters, right? Masters do something like that. So, and so far, it's actually the results have been fairly decent because I am like so hyped up on crack on those 2 games. You know what I'm saying? Because like I am totally like flow stating and I feel like that's the level of attention that sometimes more often than not you need to give to that detail with Ana. Like we're not just talking about playing cover. You know what I'm saying? We're talking about you got a dynamic position, you got to rotate, you got to move, you got to think about what's the best position right there. It like takes a lot of energy, and standing still near a corner on a nice sight line does not take a lot of energy.
Yeah.
Because if you're not on your A game with your rotations, you're going to feed and you're going to miss opportunities. So if you're not like fully focused, it's not even like a level of focus, it's like the level of focus that it requires energy, more energy than maybe you have for 4 hours, you know? So I mean, I know when I was coaching this kind of that kind of like that specific concept actually with Ana with to Landon and other Overwatch League players, it like took like so much like effort from them, like so much effort, and like it was like fun, but it was exhausting, you know. So I guess it's just kind of be aware of that, and I'm not saying, you know, let yourself go, but like I would make sure that I would put that as a priority to work on earlier on in my sessions.
Okay, I see.
Because it's a lot more difficult.
If there's stuff that's like more chill, that's just like sleep,
like the ult tracking, right?
Ult tracking,
right?
Like
that
exactly. Can come later when you don't have as much of like that initial burst of energy you get.
Yes, you're kind of going to my experimental coaching category here, where I have like a lot of these ideas that float around my brain. I don't know if they're actually true or not, but I'm like experimenting with them. Like you're kind of going into like this the cycling, where you know how like you work out, right? And they always say that you do your most intense stuff early on. You sprint, you lift heavy, you do that early in the workout. You do more like singular muscle focus, like bicep curls or hamstring curls or you know, like calf raises later in the workout because they're less like CNS, like central nervous system demanding. I sometimes feel like that applies to Overwatch as well. I don't know that for sure, but I sometimes feel like that applies to Overwatch too.
Yeah. No, it's interesting that you mentioned like the 2 games a day thing. The way I actually like back in Overwatch 1 initially climbed a GM from like I think I was stuck plat for like 14 seasons.
Yep.
But I I found ML7's unranked to GM on a series.
Yep.
On Twitch. He had just like all the VODs. And I kind of just like step by step used it. So like every day watch him play a game, then I play one game. Usually I've won that game. So then I just get off. Next day I do the same thing, and it took me like I think 2 seasons of doing 1 game a day, but I got up to
it's funny. It's probably like a lot less efficient than you should have been, but it's also probably a lot more efficient than what other people might do, because I guarantee you for that 1 game you were like totally dialed in.
Oh yeah.
Like totally dialed in.
I remember feeling like completely like different, and I was on like a high school team at that time. So I was like trying to like explain to my friends like what I was doing and like how they could possibly do it too. But like I guess I don't know, I couldn't like translate like how I was feeling. At the time it didn't make sense that the reason why I'm feeling like so like confident and like so I guess strong with the game all of a sudden, it's because I'm putting all my focus into 1 game.
Yeah. Yeah. And not only that, but you also like had a little bit of prep about what you're going to be trying to do that game too. Like you take a look at the unranked, the GM. I'm sure even if you didn't have a specific thing in mind, you were probably inspired a little bit about what I want to aim for, what I want to feel like, you know, and you're trying to replicate that. It's weird. Yeah. It's weird. I that's another part of the experimental coaching thing that I want to kind of explore more. As you know, I don't know. I've been like that since I got into contenders and especially Overwatch League. I mean, we spent some time with London doing 3 blocks a day, and most of that was because they didn't have ranked at the time. Like it was still in beta.
Oh yeah.
But even then, I don't know, man. It didn't feel right. It didn't feel right. It felt like so many maps just were crappy quality. People, like the guys were just tired and not giving full effort. And I don't know. I think there's more exploration there to be done, even if it is just for ranked players, but who knows? Okay. Any other questions?
Nope. I think that's it.
Okay. Let's take a look here. So, okay. Question for you. So my bitrate will be trash because my internet is still being serviced. So I can stream this, but it might be a little bit hard to see. If you would like to stream it, that would be best. If you can't stream it, no problem.
Okay.
It's up to you.
Yeah. I can stream it.
Okay. Perfect.
Let's see.
And the best news is if you don't have your perfect replay viewer settings as well, I can give you those too.
Oh yeah. I think I watched the video on it.
Okay. Then you're good to go.
Hold it real quick.
It's actually just my intergalactic secret evil plan to make everybody have to learn how to use the replay viewer. Make everyone self-thought review.
Let's see there. I only remember the one. I forget the other.
Yeah, it's fine. Looks good.
Yep.
I've had the technicians out 4 times.
I played it yesterday, and I have been like doing a bit better day to day recently.
Good.
But this game specifically was one of the games where it felt like I was like moving all around the screen, like I had no time to like weave in damage and stuff, and like
yeah.
I guess it was a very fast paced game.
Sure.
That I wasn't like as alert as I wanted to be for.
Sure. Well, it's all about like refining your systems, right? So that it's like when a car stops in front of me, I don't think about shifting my foot to the brake and then depressing the pedal. It just happens. It's like 3 or 4 steps that happen at once. And like when the game goes fast, it's about having those systems just downloaded where you do the equivalent of pressing a button in your brain and something happens, right? Oh, I'm being pushed. I take an angle, So okay, press N for me. And then B, and then scroll down and set the inner. Oh, see, look. Okay, you know what? Screw it. I'm not going to say a word. Oh, you actually messed up one thing. Right above the 8, turn the objective capture sounds off. I beg.
Oh, that was the thing.
Yes. Okay. That's the one thing. It's only on Koth, but the beeping is obnoxious. Okay, let's take a look. Right. So you're going to have a lot of freedom with this comp. Obviously, the Honor RAM. Basically, you're going to play with your tracer or on your own angle and just harass Soldier Bastion as best as you can. What do you think about the Kiriko changes?
I like them, honestly. It feels like the damage I put out is like, I guess it doesn't feel like I need to hit like headshot after headshot to be putting out value.
I feel like it's all. I feel like it's all. A lot of people are complaining about it, but I think it's like mostly fine. Okay, let's go ahead.
Yeah.
So my thought process is here. So I know the soldier's like kind of obnoxious to deal with right now, but I really want you to contest this guy, like really, really badly, or try to find an angle to where you don't have to contest him. So let's go back just a little bit, pause for a second, and just skip back twice. So then free cam, and then move right here. Where are your positional options here from here?
I guess I could play more over like here.
So you could go even deeper. Check it.
Even
deeper right.
Deeper right.
Like, so move on the other side of the wall.
So like
right here. Yeah. You see this?
Oh, so that would mean the soldier would have to like look more away from
correct. And do you see the gap there with the bastion? So that's kind of what we're looking at. You can still contest the soldier. Theoretically, you can still support your tank, and you have a better off angle onto the backline. In addition, the problem you're running into is you're like, either I have to shoot soldier or I can't take the angle, right? And my first thought is that maybe it would be okay to take the soldier jewel. I would honestly go for it at this range. But the other thing is that I'm not even so sure that you have to take the soldier jewel if you don't want to. I actually think if you looked at this a little bit more carefully, there are other angles that you could take that will provide, because you're like, what am I going to do with my T with my tracer? Obviously not. So, well, what about here? You know, you see the sightline. So I think it's an option to consider.
You know, because I feel like with here, the issue I was running into was like I peek up because I feel like I have to heal my ram.
Yep.
Anna's just like at a bit of an awkward angle.
Right.
But I just get instantly like hit down by the soldier.
Exactly. Exactly.
So I guess would just like in general is like deepening an angle like a good thing if like you're kind of getting squished. I don't know if that's like the right way to say it.
No, I know what you're saying. You're not even. This isn't even really an angle. This is the babiest of angle of all times, and it's also an angle, as you're saying, to where like you're not really dictating the terms of this engagement. The soldier is.
Yeah.
So what you want to do is you want to choose an angle where you can get value. You can avoid the soldier. You can avoid peeking whatever you want to, unless you want to. Like, for example, right now he's got heal station out, right? So I don't want to peek him right now. It's kind of a waste of time, right? But if I take an angle where I can heal my ram or shoot the bastion or whatever, and then I peek the soldier when he doesn't have heal station, if I hit one headshot, where's he going to go?
He's going to have to run back.
He's going to have to run. And even just the running in of itself is value, right? That means you can either deepen your angle or now you've completely shut down another DPS with one shot, right? So just take an angle and then choose your terms of your engagement when you want to peek it. That's the big thing here.
Okay.
Because obviously, like right now, it's like F8. Yeah, it's kind of hot. It's kind of awkward, right?
Yeah.
Because then now it's like, we look at this fight, I mean, really, your value has been kind of like playing catch up, is what I like to say.
Yeah, that's like, what it felt like.
Yeah. So we could look at the rest of this fight, and I think you've played perfectly since you messed up, if that makes any sense, right? Your Suzu is good, your healing is good. You've had no opportunity to do anything. Like even right now, it's like, what have you had the opportunity to do? Nothing, right? Literally nothing. You could have done nothing. Maybe you could have swung a little bit wider once you had a little bit of room to breathe to contest that soldier. Maybe that would have been better. But that's being a little bit nitpicky. The problem is that because you provided essentially no pressure for the first 5, 6, 7, 8 seconds, you're playing catch up for the rest of the fight, you know, and that's a tricky thing with Kiriko is it's almost a little bit like Mercy in that regard, where if you make mistakes with damage boost, you make mistakes with healing or pocketing the wrong target, you don't really have a pop-off ability. Now, you do have a pop-off ability with a headshot, but it felt like we never even got the space to do that. You can't just land a nade. Oh, we win the fight anyway, you know? Okay. It's all about those consistent like, small decisions, right?
It felt like, like catch up, like you were saying. It was like, if I didn't put attention towards like, you know, healing my Ramatra or healing my Ana,
like, it would have died.
Then it was just gonna be an instant loss. But then at the same time, it's like, there's the itch that was like, oh, you know, get headshots and do damage.
Okay, so here's a really cool macro question for you. Go back to that fight. Because we can look at it from a value perspective, like, oh, we didn't get enough value, therefore we lost. But let's look at it from why do you feel like you're at a resource disadvantage? You ever heard of a coach called Egoist Cat?
Yeah, I remember.
He did those macro videos, right? And he talked about something that I like to use a lot, that I've worked a lot on behind the scenes, called passive advantage, where teams do nothing but hold mouse one at each other. And given the status of their positioning, given the status of their composition, one team has an advantage and one team doesn't have an advantage. So like right now, it feels like the enemy team isn't doing anything crazy. Your team isn't doing anything crazy, but you're operating at a passive disadvantage. Do you feel that?
Yeah.
Now, part of the reason why that's the case is because look who's dead. Tracer, right? So you're operating at a 4v5. If nothing happens over the course of the next 5 or 10 seconds, but you guys press mouse one each other, you will lose this fight. However, press right click for me. Even if your tracer's alive here, there's another facet of passive advantage. Move your camera back out a little bit to the right. Yeah, perfect. Who has a positional advantage in this battlefield right now? It's tricky. But you see that soldier position?
Yeah.
It feels like he has it feels fairly neutral, but the soldier has a slight positional advantage. You kind of see what I'm saying? His position, if he's allowed to stay there, will allow him to do more damage than your DPS. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, because our Hanzo's stuck contesting him.
In addition, look at your positioning. Is your positioning min-maxing your value right now?
Not really.
If you could be anywhere in the map instantly, where would you be?
Maybe
a couple of options, right?
Assisting my Hanzo with the soldier, or down here on like an angle.
Yes, exactly. But you're not, and you don't have time to get there, so you're operating at a disadvantage right now. So what I want you to think about when it comes to passive advantage and like feeling like you have to play catch up, obviously getting that a max amount of value, but if you don't control good space, you're going to slowly lose the fight unless somebody hits a shot, basically. So when you're thinking about like, okay, why do I feel like I'm playing catch up? Look at your positioning early in the fight.
Okay.
Find what happened that prevented you from getting the max amount of value, at least on your end.
Yeah, I feel like that kind of ties into like when I'm having like a good day or something and I'm feeling really proactive. At least on Kiriko pre-fight, I look, I like walk towards the enemy spawn and just like spam them from an angle. Then when I get pushed, I TP out. Like I play like really, really ahead like that.
Right.
But that always makes me feel like these situations happen a lot less.
Exactly. It's kind of funny when I asked you where would you, by the way, when I asked you what would allow you to be anywhere you could be, right? You immediately picked somewhere to control space, to either get rid of the soldier off of high ground or to take an angle on your own, right? That would have gotten you some map control, some space control back. You don't have that right now. You don't have time to get that back right now. So now you're literally just praying that somebody like if this Hanzo hits a crazy shot or something like that, right?
Yeah, that's what I was hoping for.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, you're making the right play now, but it's you didn't control space earlier, so now it's too late.
All right, makes sense.
Okay, and then we can keep going. But like going into this fight now, you killed the Rhine, nice job. Are you going to be able to control space? Looks like we're already starting to do that. I mean, look at their positioning. Do you see how the Bap and Bastion have kind of backed off and they're not really controlling the main side of the bridge? Why? Because they started to get shot at. Now, are you going to continue to leverage your angle here? You see, this is a mistake. This is a mistake. Now, I'm not saying I don't understand the logic behind here, because I know what you're going to do. You're going to Kiriko and then you're going to Kitsune Rush, right?
Yeah.
Actually, I won't say it's a mistake because you have Kitsune Rush. I get it. But let's for the sake of an argument, pretend you don't have Kitsune Rush. Where would you be?
Probably, maybe I'd like TP to my Ana instead, or just like play back here.
Just play here. I mean, just hold mouse 1, control this side of the map, right? You could even start to push point a little bit and bait them to drop to you, right? So this is fine because I know what you're going to do, but just consider it from that perspective. All right, let's keep going.
That sounds pretty poorly.
Kitsune quick. Yeah, I mean, let me put it this way, okay? You cheated on map control, okay? You cheated on map control. Was it worth it given the fact that you had Kitsune Rush? Not so sure, right?
Yeah.
I'm not so sure either. I don't think that was a mistake. I'm going to be honest with you. I think it was okay. You just have to understand that there's always a risk when you give up angles like that and you just run it down mid. You had a good reason for it. You had Kitsune Rush. But if you might need to pop your Suzu a little faster. You might need to pop the Kitsune Rush a little faster, because the more you guys group, the more of a risk that your hero is. Even ignoring the Bastion and the Rhine, like even with those heroes are still gone, it's still a risk. Okay, let's keep going.
Yeah.
That being said, there are always good reasons to give up map control. If you see somebody's low or you got an ult for it, that's fine. Just understand the risks.
All right.
See, like even right here, it's like, okay, as soon as that Bastion ult's done, stop looking at her, right? Immediately, like even here, you're thinking about Genji, but I wouldn't be worrying about Genji. I would still be looking about my own DPS, my own angle. And the problem is that, okay, go back a little bit. This is the irony. You TP to help your Genji. Okay, maybe it would have been better about your own DPS. But then you go back and heal your queen. Where should you be right now?
Probably pushing this with my Genji.
Yes. Control the space, right? Your tank is main. Ana will help the tank control. You take the top. But look at soon what happens. You go to heal your queen. You go to help your queen. Meaningless damage, meaningless healing. Look at what happens to your Genji, right?
He gets forced out.
Right? I mean, look at those squishies up there, right? That is like, you don't even have to aim. You just have to hold down mouse 1 in their general direction here. Now, what should you do right now? What can control space? What will give you guys a passive advantage in this fight?
Probably I'm in a decent enough position to take an angle on their back line.
Yep.
Like a flank
Yep. Yep. Play for distraction here, and you could live here a long time. So like right there, your mistake was I think you swung a little too wide, right? Just peek the corner and just poke. Total, right. You'll be a total ass. They'll hate you, but that's exactly what you need to do. It's like think like a tracer, you know. This is good. I wouldn't worry as much about your Ana. Like she's totally fine. Keep a look at your Hanzo. Yeah, see. I know the Bastion. I know the Bastion is like okay, it's tough. I'm not saying this is like you're feeding here. I understand this. It's like Bastion, turf form. Surely like that's a priority here, right? But how do you lose this fight? Hanzo duel on the flank, right? You should be here.
Yeah.
Now again, I understand why you're healing your queen. I actually don't think it's a mistake, but again, it's kind of like the previous fight where it's like you have to understand like actually how important that duel was.
Yeah. So I guess just like maybe just like commit more to my like if I'm helping like someone take space, just commit more to that, especially if I have like a secondary like you know Ana or a Bap or something. Exactly.
I mean even if you had like a Lucio in your queen here and that was pretty much it, I mean that's okay. Like you're not going to keep your queen up from a Rhine pin and Bastion focus, you know what I'm saying? Either she's going to hide or she's going to die. There's really nothing that she's going to be able to do, so you need to make sure that if she does die that the sacrifice is worth it, because look at the amount of tanking that she's doing right now, right? She's taking a lot of attention, right? So you guys have to win that angle. I'm not at the awkward. I think that there's a time and a place for awkward's playstyle where it's like just solo flank permanently always. But as you're seeing here, it's not like, especially at this level, you don't have to worry about that. It's either going to be a solo flank, but a lot of times it's also going to be you and a Hanzo, you and a Genji. That's perfect. That's what you want, right? But we're not really capitalizing on that as much.
All right.
Because you're going to lose this fight. You know, you could do all the quote unquote support that you want, but it's not going to change the fact that you're going to lose this fight. Okay. Take an angle, right? This is fine. This is good. Good Kitsune rush here. Oh, that's unfortunate. You were about to Kitsune rush, yeah. I mean, honestly, it just takes. That's just a goof up. It happens. Don't worry about it. Go next. You were gonna Kitsune rush, I assume.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That nade is crazy.
Oh yeah. This is probably my least favorite change of the patch. He shot this like. Does it show it here?
Go back, yeah. He sniped you. It's so fast.
Yeah.
Wait, no way. No way. I didn't even see that. I thought he just sniped you. No way, man. And the fall off. Holy smokes. What did that do? Like 100 damage at that range?
Something like that.
It didn't even stick. I thought he stuck you.
It was through a window. Yeah, no, it just...
Holy crap.
I was taken off guard by that too.
Okay, well now I understand here. Okay, never mind. No, that's not even, that's a bit of a mistake, but jeez, that's unforgiving. Yeah, will you guys get nano? Yes, you will get nano. Maybe you guys win this one. Maybe? No, you don't. You lose this one. You could honestly skip this. You guys don't win this. Okay. Oh. Wait, see? Dang it, man! Dang it! Okay, let's see how you play. Obviously, you don't really have time to, like, overthink map control here. Drop the Kitsune. See what happens.
Come on.
There you go. Oh, no way he dies in that. No, he doesn't die. He's okay. Nice ego with the TP there. Nice ego with the ult. Your Junker Queen actually ults to get back faster. That's hilarious. But probably necessary, sadly. I've done that with Trance a few times. I'd probably still headshot him. Yeah. Yeah, this is fine. I mean, obviously it's like, oh, you're kind of playing passively here, but like, I don't really know where else you didn't even have time. So, okay, well, the slate has been cleaned. We now have a second chance at life. What are we gonna do with it?
I think I remember like supporting my Reaper up here a lot. And just having him control this space so they didn't have like a quick way onto like the high ground.
But it's funny, it's even the terminology that you use. Maybe you're just sucking up to me, but it's like It's when as soon as it starts, it's like controlling space, right? It's like, okay, yeah, sure, I can live with that. That's good. Let's go. Let's see what we got. Pole spawn versus their comp. That's good. It's about the only thing you guys got, but it's really, really good versus their comp. So maybe you guys win this. Maybe. Ha! See? I got one thing right. I thought I was lost, but at least I got that right. You see, this is fine. Because if you think about this, it's like, it's not exactly an angle because you're really not sure where the fight's starting, you know? It's like, where are we fighting here, right? But you're kind of playing in a position that's like, again, like what support could have been there? You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't even know if Bap could have been there. So you're leveraging your mobility. And as long as you're saying that, then we're good to go. Keep going. Go ahead.
Another question I had that I realized is like, I guess this applies to Ana a bit. And actually applies to like the new support Alari a lot. But I think I have issues like predicting where the fight's gonna start. Because like I'll position in a like spot and I'm like, oh, this is like perfect.
Yeah.
If like the fight starts here, but then it doesn't and I get like walked on and I die. Or it's like vice versa where like, okay, this is a good position, you know, I'll be able to like play safe here, get in some damage, like land a nade. But then the fight just happens way up ahead and I'm not there for it and I miss it.
Sure. One rule I would say. That's actually two rules. Okay, so one, look at your tank. So if you go back a little bit here, just before the fight started here, and I think, by the way, I still think you're contributing here. But if you go back right here, look at your tank. You see the problem?
Yeah.
I don't think you're necessarily feeding here because you are, like you said, helping your Reaper. I think this is honestly probably fine. But the fight is going to happen at this choke. Is this where you want to be? Yeah, I think this is okay. But don't be surprised when you see your queen there and you're here. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, the other rule is if you have like a Wrecking Ball, Winston, something like that, that one takes a little bit more prediction. But what I would do in that circumstance is I would take a look at your anchor. In other words, that would be somebody whose positioning is going to dictate where the fight happens. For example, if your Reaper's up top here, you know where the fight's going to happen. Somewhere around this specific corner here. If you see your Bastion pushed up on a right flank, you know where the fight's going to happen. So start with your tank. If the tank isn't giving you any information because they're like a Wrecking Ball, then move down to the next tier.
Okay. All right, that makes sense.
Yeah. Easier said than done, but like you shouldn't be surprised that you guys are pushing here given your Reaper and Jungler Queen's positioning.
Okay.
Don't look at the map, look at the people. It's fine. Because again, here, you know where the fight's going to happen. It's going to be the same spot again, right? So you might want to be on the right here, maybe? I mean, this is fine too, but yeah. This is a little spooky. Aw. Yeah, I think you're okay. You just should have dropped. It kind of looked like your team was trying to like cheese the fight plan there, which was reasonable, but you guys didn't do it. Because you guys didn't have anything and they had like beat window. So I think you guys went for like a one shot and a squishy, but their Lucio got beat off. Okay, that's fine. You guys had no business even taking it to 80%. Okay. Any questions so far?
I think we cleared up everything I was wondering for that.
Okay.
So just like, I guess like some takeaways would just be, help control like space earlier on in the fight, whether that be through like assisting like DPS players that are like trying to take space, or like making angle of my own that like kind of restricts space for enemies.
And if you feel overwhelmed, if you feel like you're playing catch up, look back at your positioning earlier in the fight and ask yourself, did I mess up my positioning? Did I mess up my cooldowns that let them get a passive advantage?
Okay, that makes sense. And then, yeah. All right.
Yeah, that's mostly it. And the last thing is like anytime you stack on main, have a good reason for it, right? With the Kitsune rush, right? Totally times when it's okay. Just have a good reason for it. All right, let's keep going.
Okay.
Reaper Charm. I don't really like a lot of the charms, honestly. I don't even remember. I think I used like the Medusa one or something. I couldn't find anyone that looked really cool.
You know, honestly, I just throw them on and like forget about them.
Yeah, I honestly forget about them too. Is this full BAP?
Yeah, this map
Okay,
is bad.
sounds good. Well, we haven't coached your BAP. I don't think it was on Akiri last time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what is your focus with BAP?
My focus with BAP is mainly just like trying to weave in as much damage as I can while not falling behind on like
Right.
healing.
Right.
I think an issue I struggle with him sometimes is that um I kind of like wait, let me think about this.
Sure.
Uh I want to say like I get like really like sticky with him. Like like
I know exactly what you're saying.
damage and forget to heal or heal or forget to damage. Something along those lines. But like it'd be like it's hard for me to like notice that like mid fight and just like snap out of it.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, it's one of like the afterthoughts.
Yeah, yeah. It's very important with that because with Kiriko, that used to happen a lot with Kiriko. But weaving, I would say, is not as important with Kiriko as it is with that. So yeah, yeah. It's a hard habit to break. Okay, let's take a look. Also cooldown use, obviously.
Yeah.
So like here, I think you would need to be so go back a little bit. Let's talk about this from like the Kiriko standpoint. What are you contributing that the enemy Baptiste is not right now? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, he's getting in damage right now.
Yes, he
not
is.
really.
And you're not. Now, whose fault is that? Is that your fault?
Yeah.
To an extent. It's also your Ryan's fault. Your Ryan is pushing past the corner for really no reason. In fact, your Junkrat's not even positioned here. So this is like your team is trolling here, but you're not helping things. So because if you turn this corner here, you need to be turning the corner too. Now, there's a risk. What's the risk? Move right click like, free cam and move forward a little bit.
Oh.
Not that direction, obviously, because if you push, you're gonna avoid him. But what's the risk out of being like here?
Like they could just speed Bastion turret up, or Ryan could just charge in.
So is there a compromise? Is there a middle ground? Can you squeeze anything out of where you are right
now? Maybe shooting the soldier on the left, even though it's kind of like a hard flick.
You could. How about this? Walk 1 meter up if you can. Or just complete the rotation all the way into right. You see what I'm saying?
Oh, because then I have like this cover.
Sure.
Be more protected.
I understand that this is a really tricky situation here, but this is what you need to be trying. You need to be trying to squeeze this value out if possible, because you're not even in shift range really here. I mean, you are now, but in the initial positioning, you weren't even within shift range. So I don't know. It's rough.
Yeah.
Keep playing.
All right.
Sorry, you were gonna say something.
Yeah. I was just thinking about like maybe I need to like I guess take more risks and like ranked instead of just like kind of like AFKing in the back, because I feel like I do that a lot. If I feel like either I'm playing catch up or like maybe I'm having like an off day or something, I'll just like sit in the back and AFK and then I'll lose the fight. But like I'm gonna lose it anyway if I do that. So like, why not try something?
Yeah, especially in your circumstance, right? You're playing catch up from busted teeth, so you gotta at least try to put yourself, at least for the first several games of the day, again, like put yourself in good limit testing situations so that you're kind of forced to kind of build back that. Otherwise, you're kind of like you're taking it too easy on yourself, which not only is going to cost you games, but it's also going to cost you your improvement rate.
Yeah, definitely. Right.
A little unfortunate they had to shift so early, but I think it was necessary. The thing is just this shift is a defensive cooldown. It's not a sustained cooldown. It is a defensive cooldown. So as long as like you feel like a reasonable risk, then it's understandable to shift. I remember when that change first came in the Overwatch 2 beta. So many tears.
Oh, was it the
It was in the owl Discord. Yeah, the overheal. They first changed it. People were really upset. I mean, honestly, even the London, like I was a big enemy of that change because it was just brainless. It was like more healing. That's like it's just so lame.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway. Sure. if we're talking ult tracking there, I think that fight plan was not amazing, given the fact that they had shatter and window too, because your positioning was poor because you thought, oh, I'm just going to window, but they also had window and they also had shatter. So you got to kind of like look at it as like they can answer. Am I in a good position for the answer? And I think the answer is no. The answer is no. You played it well, but that's because they did not play it well. So if
I remember my Reinhardt was in BC asking for the window. So
I mean, and that's fine. It wasn't so much the window, so much as your positioning around the window. So go back a little bit here. So if you know they have shatter and you have window, how should you position here? You see the problem here, right?
Yeah.
You're
so
cooked.
Maybe I could even like play down here, I guess.
You could, yeah. Or even if you're in the same spot, just hug the wall a little tighter.
Hug the wall. Yeah.
Right here.
Even that way, if I do happen, if he shatters like around the corner, I can like jump up.
Sure. Or if you want to shoot in your own window, where would you position on this side? So I'm saying further right, all the way left. What's another option?
More in the back.
Yep. Just hug the wall there, or to the little thing to your right. There's like a little box thing to your right. Yeah, right there. You could position here. This would be better too. It just gives you better options versus what they have, right? Because you're cheating here just because you're like, oh, window. But again, like look at their 94, 88. Yeah. Okay.
Like if their Ryan didn't drop, and he went for the shatter, then
Or if they also window fire strike, would you have time to react with your current positioning? I don't think so.
Not really.
Right. So yeah, that's okay. And then now you really got to be careful because you're missing a layer, right? Whereas they have it right there, right? That was good. It felt like you were actually ready for it, That's good. That's okay. You got absolutely murked. I think in general, a lot of your cooldowns have been late with Lamp specifically, but I'm thinking it's just not being used to the Bastion kind of stuff.
Oh yeah,
stuff dies unbelievably fast. So I think that's definitely an error, but I think it will improve with time. Because I feel like that Junkrat was going to survive. I felt like it, and he didn't. So I've got some learning to do myself. Again, where ult tracking is useful, right? Like if your ult tracking is useful there, you know that I don't have to greed my lamp because it's just Bastion ult. Wait, what happened? He shattered the right.
Yeah.
And even here, you're like, I'm thinking shatter, so I'm thinking I'm pre-jumping, so I don't get shattered there. You know what I'm saying? Because if you're thinking about a hero like Bap, a lot of it is like, okay, we've talked a little bit about the micro of your positioning. We've talked a little bit about your ability to burst, react to their burst or their ult. But you notice we've talked more about like the ult economy more than anything else.
Yeah.
There's more space to think about that, Because what are you doing here? You're not even getting mechanically challenged in the Ryan Brawl mirror because you're not going to be flicking to anything other than the front line most of the time. So get the macro right?
Yeah.
Get the macro.
Should I have days where my sole focus is to just I guess be like a alt tracker and just
you could. If you feel like it, try it. You could try it.
Because that's one of the things I felt like when I was on my collegiate team was we get in situations where oh yes, we know what ults they have, what ults we have, but it's how do we change our play around that?
Right. Right. So for you specifically, I think it's important because if you look at their composition, the reason the ult tracking mattered is even if you're not even in VC, it's changing how you're positioning. It's preventing you from getting shattered, preventing you from getting windowed. It's preventing you from getting rushed. It's changing how you're using your shift, how you're using your lamp, how you're using your window, right? So even if you did it selfishly, strictly selfishly, it's still useful. Very useful, especially with a hero like this. Like the Kiriko, we're talking a little bit more about your positioning and your but right now it's besides the details of the positioning, it's been whatever. I'm more concerned about how you're playing around the ults, if that makes any sense. Okay. Now, if they were on full dive, I think you'd have a little bit of a harder time about your cooldowns and your positioning and things like that. So I would be more flexible with you to focus on the matchup and not the macro.
Okay, that makes sense.
It's just about giving yourself something to work on, you know. Go back. Very important mistake. What's the cool? Slow it down. You see the mistake, yeah?
Just my emote not being in.
Well, it's you got your cooldown order wrong.
Oh.
Yeah, because let's be honest, you're gonna lamp. There's a Bastion ult, you're running forward, you're gonna lamp. Just embrace it. You know what I'm saying? Lamp, then shift. Now you're not at. Now your Ryan's not crit, and you're not crit. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because if you're ever gonna have to lamp something, always lamp then shift, so you exit the lamp at full HP.
All right.
Only reason you'd switch up the orders if you weren't sure if you even needed to lamp in the first place. And that I'm sure that you needed to lamp.
Yeah, that was felt like I was.
Yeah, that one's okay.
First into a...
Now pause. You're positioning very aggressively here for damage. Did you have anything to worry about at that point in time, shatter-wise? I mean, obviously we're cheating
really
here, but at the point in time, right, probably not. Like I think we probably would not expect him to have shatter yet, so this is good. You need to get value here, right?
Yeah.
If he'd had shatter, this would have been a little bit silly.
Yeah, because then he just shatters.
Right. So everything has context. Right. Everything has context. So if you're making educated decision like this because you're like, oh, he's safe, you know, then we're good to go. Weapon play has looked pretty reasonable. Yeah, I think the weapon play has been good enough. It's not been perfect, but it's like fine. That shift didn't reach him.
Yeah. Do you have any like suggestions on like how to practice weapon play specifically?
No, just practice. Because it's so complicated, it just demands practice. The only thing that I would do is if you start playing a lot more Baptiste than where you are right now, then I would, like you said, devote, you know how you were talking about like devote some days to focus on macro? I would devote some games to focus on just weapon play.
Okay.
Yeah, finding out that whether it's the 2-1 or the 1-1 weave. And the other detail as well is like we always talk about you shoot Ryan, you shoot Ryan, you shoot Ryan. Well, you shoot Ryan, why?
To like give your Ryan the advantage.
Right. But why? But isn't it better to shoot the healers instead or the DPS instead for giving your Ryan the advantage? Yes, but why do you generally not shoot them?
It's less consistent.
Well, it's actually no, it's really not. Like it doesn't like if you as a Baptiste could shoot DPS instead of Ryan Shield, you do it every time. Every time. The problem though is that the crosshair movement to that and splash healing your Ryan consistently is too difficult. Nobody's that good. Not even Overwatch League players are consistently that good, at least with how fast the weaving is. So that raises a very important question. When should you be shooting the off angles or the DPS of the supports?
I guess like pre-fight or like
sure, pre-fight. Here's another question. What if your Ryan doesn't need healing?
Just like,
you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
As soon as your Ryan doesn't need healing, you should not be shooting Ryan Shield. You should be shooting anything but Ryan Shield. As soon as your Ryan needs healing, then you shoot Ryan Shield. You get what I'm saying?
Okay, that makes sense.
So,
I didn't know that before.
Yeah. So that would be most of your weapon play revolves around your target priority, and then like getting your weave down correctly. I think your weave has been okay. Like it's mostly been 1-1, but I've been seeing some 2-1s as well. And it's looked okay. I just think sometimes it feels like your Ryan is a little full and you're still taking the easy target to shoot. Yeah. And I think that's a habit that you want to break. It's not the most important habit to break, but if you were looking for something to practice with BAP, that would be it right there.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, not too shabby. It wasn't amazing, but I wouldn't say that your BAP is like noticeably lower than your other supports. It was fine. All right, let's keep going. We got about 6-7 more minutes, so we can look at a few more fights if you'd like.
All right, sounds good.
I told our next student we'd be running a little over, so we're good to go. Who's your favorite support hero just to play, regardless of like meta or whatever?
Just to play?
Yeah.
It flops between Ana and Kiri.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
Some days I just feel like perma flanking and playing Ling on Kiri. Other days I'd like hitting big nades. So
yeah. I got you. I got you. This is like a perfect example where like you'd love to be shooting that soldier if you can. You see how your Ryan doesn't need healing, so who do you shoot? Soldier. You see? You do a lot of it probably without even thinking. Not a great shift, to be honest with you. Another one of those.
Was it like?
It's just nobody's actually taking damage here. So like here's the way to look at it, especially versus this composition. Somebody's either going to get one shot or they're going to be healthy. So then if you're going to use a cooldown in anybody who needs help here, what cooldown is it going to be? Immo, right? Exactly. And then you might need to shift afterwards. Like you look at the situation right now, I don't see anything on your screen that demands shift. Because the shift is only going to do, what is it, 75 healing? Yeah. Right? You're not going to get the burst heal. So what's the point of using it right now? If anything, don't use anything and then shift later on as people start to get crit to give you an advantage in that fight. Or if you're really concerned, you would use your lamp.
Okay. No, I think it's just because like I have these things where I play at a pretty low DPI.
Yep, same.
It's like 800 DPI and then 2.45 in game.
That's almost exactly what I use. Yeah,
I'm pretty low, so sometimes it's just like here I had a gut feeling that like my DPS or something was like taking like a lot of damage. So like without even like trying to like look and check on them, I just like shift.
Yeah, and actually go to your junk right. It was the junk right above your head. I wonder if the shift actually hit him. F11, yeah. Slow it down a little bit. Right click. No, he was inside. So right here, does the shift hit him? Watch the animation. No, it didn't. Yeah. Or at least he was too high at HP. It might have hit him, but regardless, you didn't get the burst heal out of it. So so it's like, that's the thing. And I think this is maybe a little bit composition specific with these Bastion comps. It's not enough to keep them up.
Yeah.
Like I said, either someone's going to be one shot or they're not going to need the healing from the shift. So
you're like full commit with immortality or just like not at all.
Right. I mean, you guys are hard committing here, right? This fight will be over in 3 seconds. So if you lamp early here, it's not going to matter. You're going to get value out of the lamp regardless. Maybe that's more of a compositional specific stuff with like the Bastion variations. But like, I mean, looking at how you guys are playing that, you either lamp that or you don't use anything. But that's being very nitpicky. I just think it's probably going to be more relevant, as I imagine we're going to see a lot of Bastion Ryan. When you do see Ryan, there's probably going to be a lot of Bastion right now.
Yeah, he feels very strong right now.
Yeah, the 50 armor heal is a big deal.
Oh, yeah.
And obviously the nade, as we discussed earlier. Jeez, like that is like...
It's crazy. Like there's no time to react anymore.
Yeah,
you get hit by it, it's like over.
Good discipline with the shift there, by the way, like trusting that you're like in a position well around it. Obviously a little bit slow in the rotation here, but they use turret ward, so we should be okay. A little bit unfortunate with the shift there, but it's all right.
Yeah.
It's fine. Junk just does junk things. He looks like he's dive bombing, but he's missing every dive bomb.
Yeah.
You see how like you lamp here, and you're like, oh, I lamped a little early, but guess what? You needed it. Because immediately as you lamp, you get chunked to 0, right? That's fine. I think this meta is going to be all about lamping quickly.
Because like if you don't, then it's just like you're losing value.
Yeah, it's not even like the Symmetra Mei variation where like, okay, maybe a Mei hits a right click, but there's not a lot of burst, right? This is all burst.
Yeah.
And you got, for crying out loud, you have a soldier and a junk too as the other DPS, so Helix or junk nade, there's like so much burst here.
Yeah.
I didn't honestly see our cooldown order there. I don't know if we lamped first. I'm just curious. Hey, you did it right. Nice.
There we go.
There we go. And this is where, like, we could look at these fights and be like, your ult planning here is very important. So go back just a little bit. Press Z. Yeah, so go here. You know they have beat Shatter Visor. So you know that unless they mess up, which they probably won't, this window is not going to win the fight, right?
Yeah.
So then how should you place the window / how should you use your cooldown / how should you position? What do you think?
Maybe just like, maybe what I could try and do is like use my window up here a bit more selfishly.
Yes, why?
because that gives me like options.
Yes, that's the key thing, right? You're not all inning on the backline with the window because they're going to beat and lamp and you're going to die. So give yourself something that's going to get more sustained or more option value, right?
Okay.
And then do the same thing with your positioning too, right? Like, are you going to brute force top right? Maybe not. Are you going to brute force on top of your right? Maybe not. Find something that gives you options, right? Because you know this is not going to be a fight that ends in like 5 seconds unless somebody gets a one shot. So play it out. And so knowing that now, you could probably guess that maybe my window a little too far forward. Because if they beat rush, is that window going to get value? No.
Not really.
Good. Nice use of your cooldowns. Love to see it. Really nice. Nice job. This feels ugly, but your positioning and your ult usage could have been a little bit better. But your cooldown usage, quite good. Weaving as well. Nice job. Thanks. Clutch that one. It feels weird, but like you clutch that fight. He's such a weird hero. It's like the way you win fights is sometimes not super satisfying.
Yeah, no, it does definitely feel messy a lot of the time.
Ult tracking here, right? BAP window. So thinking they're gonna BAP window right there, right? You're dead.
Yeah.
You're dead.
Pretty much.
Better team there and you're already dead. You know what I'm saying? Right. I mean, that was a little bit of just silliness, but I think you look at that, your initial rotation there, like you're too slow to get to the corner. If that team is even slightly faster, you're dead immediately.
Yeah.
You know, so. I mean, I don't know what the plan was there, but that's fine. You did it again. I think you're trying to greed your lamp for Bastion ult, but what ends up happening is that you're using it anyway. So let's put it this way. It's not super black and white. Like if you think that I can live this Bastion ult, I should be fine. I understand why you'd use your shift. And you're like, ah, crap, I got a lamp. I get it. But just if you're not confident that you're gonna avoid it, don't hesitate to lamp first. Let's put it that way.
Okay. This was a pretty interesting fight. I don't know. I'm kind of confused what I could have done like differently.
Well,
like,
you're thinking like, okay, they don't have an ult to answer, right? But you don't have your cooldowns.
Yeah.
So you can't be here. You can window here. You just can't be here.
So do I like back up to like this?
Sure, just play the corner. Yeah. Or
my only issue with that was I need
right. So what's the solution?
Maybe like either trying to think what I have time for. Maybe like play closer to here.
This is perfect.
And then just hug this wall.
Yeah, works for me. That would have 100% been your best option. Just hugging the corner a little bit.
Yeah.
That would have been it. You win this fight off of that. And I think even your window placement should reflect that too, where it's not quite so far forward. It just gives you more options. Because remember, they have better map control, right? So you got to respect that. Okay. Let's wrap this up. Let's get you some goals here. Kiriko.
Probably look at like I guess pre-fight more to see what I could be doing with like deepening angles or like controlling space. Especially if I feel like I'm playing catch up.
Yeah. If you feel like you are playing catch up, reevaluate at a later time how you positioned used cooldowns early. I wouldn't do it in the moment because at that point we already talked about it. Once you're playing catch up, it's over. Just play catch up. You know, do it well. Your team can still win those fights. It's just a little bit harder. All right. That was mostly it with Kiriko. I think. Yeah. Okay to stack when the situation makes sense. Just know you're operating at a slight disadvantage. Which again, if you're using an ultimate, you know, it's fine. Just be aware of it. It's like stacking with a BAP window to shoot through it. You know, it's not exactly good etiquette to do so, but sometimes it makes sense, right? Okay, BAP.
Don't be afraid to lamp earlier.
Lamp into shift. Lamp earlier with these Bastion rolls when cooldown / ults are committed. Ton of burst.
And then I guess just play more around what ultimates they have.
More around
and like
ult
because I'm like
situation.
flexible with like my exo boost and my positioning. So
Position, window, and use cooldowns accordingly. The most important one I would say is the positioning around the ultimates, right? You'll see this even in the Overwatch League meta with Ana Brig, right? Think about how differently Fielder or Twilight will play depending on whether the enemy has EMP or not, depending on whether they have rally or not, depending on if we have rally or not, right? You can't like predict where they're going to position until you see the ult situation first.
Yeah.
Right. And the same thing happens with BAP to a lesser extent, but it still happens. Okay. Those are the main ones, I think. Anything else? Oh, I guess the weapon play, shoot target priority depending on tank HP.
Okay.
Now that applies to ranked as well. If you're playing like with a Ram or with an Orisa or a Zarya, you know, you can kind of give yourself more options depending on the situation. Allows you to get more like Kiriko like pressure where you're actually like shooting things other than the front line. But it just depends. Okay. Any questions?
Not really. I think that's it.
Okay. Don't forget the general stuff we talked about, just like giving yourself different things to work on, being proactive about your tension prevention. And like I said, don't sweat the process. You're going to be in it for the long haul. Don't worry about it. You'll get it back.